You're at a dinner party. Someone casually mentions they just maxed out their 401k for the 12th year in a row. Another person talks about the rental property they bought last summer. A third chimes in about their brokerage account crossing some milestone you didn't even know existed. Meanwhile, you're sitting there doing mental math, trying to remember if you even have a 401k and whether that $8,000 sitting in it counts as retirement savings. You smile politely, you nod along, you say something vague like, "That's great," while reaching for your wine glass. But inside, your stomach is doing that thing where it drops 3 inches and stays there. Later that night, you're lying in bed staring at the ceiling. You can't sleep. You keep replaying the conversation. You keep wondering how everyone else figured out the money thing while you were apparently sleeping through that particular life lesson. The questions start spiraling. Should I have bought a house 5 years ago? Why didn't anyone teach me about investing in my 20s? Is it too late? Am I going to be working until I'm 75? Here's what nobody at that dinner party will admit. Half of them are lying. The guy talking about his rental property didn't mention that it's been vacant for 3 months and bleeding him dry. The woman who maxed out her 401k has $40,000 in credit card debt she's hiding from her husband. The other half are drowning in anxiety just like you, but they've learned to perform confidence because that's what adults apparently do. And the anxious knot in your stomach exists because society handed you a checklist for success, but forgot to mention that the checklist was written in 1985 when houses cost $89,000 and a single income could support a family of 4. The benchmarks you're measuring yourself against are fundamentally broken. They were designed for an economy that no longer exists. Yet somehow we still internalize them. We still feel like failures when we hit 40 without hitting those invisible milestones. So today, I'm going to do something uncomfortable. I'm going to show you the actual financial benchmarks for age 40 based on current data. Some of these numbers might make you feel better. Others might genuinely alarm you. But more importantly, I'm going to give you the exact roadmap for catching up, even if you're starting from zero. And here's the part that might surprise you. The people who start late often end up in better positions than the people who started early and coasted. There's a mathematical reason for this that I'll break down around the halfway point of this video. It has to do with something called contribution intensity. And once you understand it, you'll realize that your 40s might actually be the most powerful wealth-building decade of your entire life. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that financial advisors love to throw around. By age 40, conventional wisdom says you should have 3 times your annual salary saved for retirement. Earning $80,000 a year means you should have $240,000 tucked away in retirement accounts. Sounds reasonable when you say it fast. The reality is brutally different. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey of consumer finances, the median retirement savings for Americans aged 35 to 44 is approximately $45,000. Let me repeat that because it's important. The median, meaning half of all Americans in this age group, have less than $45,000 saved for retirement. That's nowhere close to 3 times their salary. That's barely 3 months of salary for most people. So if you're sitting there with $30,000 or $60,000 or even $100,000 saved, you're actually doing better than most of your peers. The benchmarks that make you feel like a failure were created by financial institutions that profit from your anxiety. They want you to feel behind, so you'll buy their products, hire their advisors, and pay their fees. However, this doesn't mean you should settle for average. An average in America means retiring with barely enough to survive. It means working until 67 and then hoping Social Security doesn't collapse before you die. The goal isn't to beat your neighbors. The goal is to build genuine financial security. Those are 2 very different objectives. Let's break down what the realistic age 40 benchmarks actually look like in 2025, adjusted for the economic reality that most of us live in. The first benchmark involves retirement savings. A more achievable, yet still meaningful target is 1.5 to 2 times your annual salary by 40. Earning $70,000 means you should aim for $150,000 to $140,000 in retirement accounts. This puts you on track to retire with dignity, assuming you continue contributing throughout your 40s and 50s when your earning power typically peaks. Here's why this number matters more than you might think. At age 40 with $120,000 invested, even if you never contributed another penny, that money would grow to approximately $780,000 by age 65 at an 8% average return. You wouldn't be wealthy, but you'd have something. Add continued contributions throughout your 40s and 50s, and you're looking at a genuinely comfortable retirement. The second benchmark concerns emergency savings. You should have 3 to 6 months of essential expenses as sitting in a high-yield savings account. Essential expenses means rent or mortgage, utilities, food, insurance, and transportation. For most households, this works out to somewhere between $12,000 and $25,000 in liquid savings that you can access within 24 hours. Here's a critical distinction that trips people up. Your emergency fund isn't your vacation fund. It's not your new car fund. It's not money you dip into when you want something but don't want to put it on a credit card. It's money that exists solely to prevent financial catastrophe when life throws a wrench into your plans. Job loss, medical emergency, major home repair. That's what this money is for. The third benchmark relates to debt. By 40, you should have eliminated all high-interest consumer debt. Credit cards charging 20% interest should be paid off entirely. Student loans should be either eliminated or on a clear payoff trajectory. Personal loans and financing plans should be gone. Your only remaining debt should be your mortgage and potentially a reasonable car payment. Ideally, at an interest rate below 6%. I want to be direct about something here. If you're 40 and still carrying credit card balances month to month, this is a 5-alarm fire that needs addressing before anything else. Credit card interest compounds against you with the same mathematical force that investment returns compound for you. Every month you carry a balance. You're swimming against a current that's specifically designed to keep you in place. The fourth benchmark addresses income. Your salary at 40 should represent a significant jump from where you started. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics suggests that peak earning years typically fall between 45 and 54. By 40, you should be earning at least 30% more than you were earning at 30 in real inflation-adjusted dollars. If you're not, something has gone wrong with your career trajectory that needs addressing. Why, this isn't about ambition or climbing corporate ladders for the sake of status. It's about mathematics. Your ability to build wealth is fundamentally constrained by your income. Someone earning $50,000 who saves 20% of their income is saving $10,000 per year. Someone earning $100,000 who saves the same percentage is saving $20,000 over a 25-year period. That difference compounds into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about what happens when you look at these benchmarks and realize you're behind on several of them. Maybe you're behind on all of them. The instinct is to panic. The instinct is to feel like you've wasted the last decade and there's no way to recover. You might even feel a strange urge to just give up, to accept that retirement will be a struggle and there's nothing to be done about it. This is where that mathematical truth I mentioned earlier becomes crucial. Catching up in your 40s is actually easier than building from scratch in your 20s. There are several interconnected reasons for this phenomenon. First, your earning power is higher. The average 40-year-old earns significantly more than the average 25-year-old. This means you have more raw material to work with when building wealth. A 25-year-old might only be able to invest $300 per month. A 40-year-old with an established career might be able to invest $1,500 or $2,000. That difference in contribution intensity matters enormously. Second,